Flash for this week. In this package, we have for you stories on electricity tariffs, aviation, minimum wage, inflation, construction, as well as some stock reports. I'm Charity Jerome. First, the business news headlines. Federal government says no plans to significantly raise electricity tariffs. LCCI urges CBN to review export proceeds repatriation policy. Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority lifts Azman Air suspension after 6 weeks. And NLC says inflation eroding minimum wage value. Details of these and more in just a moment. The Federal Minister of Power, Salim Amman, says there's no plan to significantly raise electricity tariffs across the country. The minister said in a statement shared on his Twitter handle, Nigerians should expect an increase in the power sector's efficiency. The minister's comments come after the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission said it was ready to conclude the extraordinary tariff review process for the country's 11 electricity distribution companies. In a notice posted to its website, the Commission expressed its readiness to commence the processes for a minor review of the tariff in July based on changes in inflation, foreign exchange, gas prices, and available generation capacity, among other factors. The Power Minister stressed that the federal government is committed to increasing supplied energy to the grid through rapid expansion of infrastructure through the various facilities for the sector, either to the DISCOs under the strict terms or to the Transmission Company of Nigeria. He added that the Buhari administration will ensure to eliminate the metering gap currently ailing the nation's power sector. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry says it has become imperative for the Central Bank of Nigeria to review its policy on repatriation of export proceeds. Director General of LCCI, Dr. Muda Yusuf, said this in an interactive session with business editors. He alleged that the CBN policy was breeding sharp practices and corruption in export documentation processes, with many exporters avoiding to fill the Nigerian export proceeds form. Yusuf expressed hopes that the Apex Bank would have a rethink because when people are not bringing back their proceeds, it is partly because of this problem. He also added that some exporters were now exporting from neighboring countries such as the Republic of Benin, lamenting that this move was harming the Nigerian economy. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority has lifted the suspension it placed on Azman Air on March 15th, following series of incidents involving the airline's Boeing 737 aircraft. Azman announced that the lifting of the suspension was confirmed in a meeting held between the management of the domestic airline and NCAA on the 1st of May 2021. The airline stated that its operations of all the Boeing 737 aircraft in its fleet were suspended by the regulator pursuant to Section 35, Subsection 2 of the Civil Aviation Act 2006 and Part 1333A of the Nigeria Civil Aviation Regulations 2015. In the announcement signed by the airline's management, it said having satisfactorily undergone the safety audit and implemented the corrective action plan as recommended by the regulatory body, they are pleased to inform the general public that the suspension has been lifted. The NCAA had explained that it suspended Azman Air in order to enable the authority to conduct an audit of the airline and determine the root causes of the incidents, as well as recommend corrective actions to forestall future reoccurrence. Nigeria Labour Congress says that the inflation rate of 18.17% has reduced the value of the 30,000 naira minimum wage. The chairperson, NLC Lagos State Council Fumi Sese, said this in an interview that the challenges faced by workers were enormous. She said the news of the minimum wage was no longer exciting to workers, considering the increase in prices of many items, as well as the increased electricity tariff. According to her, the workers are suffering these increases because of the incompetence of the government and the appointment of people into office based on sentiments of the region and party loyalties. Sese also noted that the COVID-19 pandemic added to the challenges facing workers in the country. She said workers were at the receiving end of the pandemic, with many private companies sacking people in droves and with no intervention from the government. Meanwhile, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, has faulted governors yet to pay the new minimum wage to workers in their states. Speaking in Lagos, he stated that any employer paying its employee below 30,000 naira was doing so in contravention of the law. In his reaction, Ngige faulted governors negotiating with the labor unions in their state over the payment of minimum wage to workers. According to him, they're getting the issues mixed up, as the minimum wage is different from the collective bargaining agreement.
This minimum wage is different from a CBA, collective bargaining agreement. This is a national law that says what you pay to the lowest paid employee, worker in your establishment. State governments are employers. Private sector people, USC, banks, and the rest of them all are private employers. All of them are in this basket. They are caught in the web of this law until repealed. So for today, any state government or employer that goes and be negotiating minimum wage, like some of them are doing with their unions, they are running foul of the law. And Section 33 of the Act says anything you are doing in that direction is null and void. Any agreement you reach there is null and void. I'm negotiating with the Attorney General of the Federation. The law permits me to take them to court. It's there in the law. I can take any employer to court. If governors have immunity, I can decide and start from the Secretary to Government, Head of Service, and go down to members of the State Executive Council. Take them all to court.
That was the voice of the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige. To other business news now, the Director General, Lagos State Pension Commission, Mr. Babalola Obilana, has said the state government paid over 1 billion naira to retirees in April. He disclosed this while delivering a speech at the Retirement Bond Certificates presentation ceremony to the 84th batch of the Contributory Pension Scheme retirees in Lagos. He said Lagos State had been consistent with its leadership role in the implementation of the Contributory Pension Scheme, in line with the provision of the Lagos State Pension Reform Law of March 19, 2007, now amended. Director General commended the state governor for efficient and effective administration of the CPS in the state. According to him, one of the outcomes is the regular issuance of retirement bond certificates to retirees of the state public service. He also appreciated the support of the Commissioner of Establishment, Training and Pensions, the state-approved pension fund administrators, and the efforts of the insurance companies at ensuring that all its retirees had unrestrained access to their pension benefits. Lagos State government says it has prohibited illegal occupation of abandoned buildings and buildings under construction within the state. In a statement, the Lagos State Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Idris Salako, said the measure became imperative going by the security situation in the country. He observed that some hoodlums and social miscreants had continued to convert abandoned buildings and building construction sites to their haven and launching pad to perpetrate mischief and pose serious danger to the sanity and sanctity of the state. The statement admonished residents of the state to abide by its laws, including the obligation of owners and developers of uncompleted or existing buildings to ensure that properties remained in proper environmental, safe and sanitation conditions. The government also announced a 6 p.m. daily deadline imposed on construction workers to vacate the premises. Well, that's it on Business Flash for today. Thank you so much for listening. Join us again on Wednesday for another fresh edition. I'm Charity Jerome. Good morning.
Quick, charge at 240.
Hot news, cool vibes, sports, and more on the Integrity Station.